6:33, and we have a quorum. We're missing Vice President Rose, and we'll go to citizens' comments. Do we have anybody signed up?
No.
And this is, again, the meeting of Trophy Club Municipal Utility District Number 1, regular meeting. Reports and updates. Monthly staff reports. A, monthly capital improvement projects. B, monthly operations report. C, monthly finance reports. Alan?
Good evening, directors. Tonight, capital improvement project updates include the FY 2025 waterline project. That construction is underway, and the contractor is currently moving along Alamosa Drive. They started moving everybody over to temporary water line earlier this week, and they began replacing the actual main itself on the eastern end of Alamosa at Village Trail. Yep, and they're going to be working their way around that. They've told us they're going to be bringing in a second crew, and my understanding is they're going to continue working over towards Monterey, Silver Rock, and Durango before proceeding on to Indian Creek Drive. But that construction project's starting to move along well. The lift station improvement project, that project has been completed. The emergency connection that we have working with the city of Southlake, that is in design right now. And the last invoice I saw, the modeling is still in its infancy stage. The wastewater line rehabilitation project, you all approved the design for that last month, and that includes that 900 linear feet of section on the southwest side of the treatment plant. So that one's in design, and we expect that to be received sometime around March of 2026. Other than that, everything's been moving along well. I want to commend staff for their efforts in putting together our draft budget. They've spent a lot of time and effort on that. We've also got some new staff internally that's working on our customer service side. Very pleased with how we're moving forward and progressing. And also on the operational side, the guys have been doing one heck of a job trying to catch up on meter replacements. As a matter of fact, they replaced 54 last week, which is it's an insane amount of number with the guys that we're running. So I want to give credit to all the guys. Also, Mike got the lead and copper samples taken care of last week, so good job to everyone. Other than that, I'm ready to answer any questions you may have.
Well, a plus, Alan. I got a letter from you guys today saying we have 0% of lead in our water.
It's a good thing.
It was great.
Anybody have anything else?
Just a question on Alamosa Drive. Has there been any public comments about
Always.
improvements you've made?
Always. We always have some folks that are either they miss the communication efforts that have been sent to them, but it most often is taken care of with a simple conversation and additional communication. But to my understanding, we've only had one complaint so far, and it wasn't really a complaint. So normal construction.
And how old is the water piping in that area?
It's just about 45 to 50 years old.
Okay.
How are we doing on people calling in and saying they had leaks or something during the winter averaging?
You know,
Another one, Facebook, the other.
I can't remember how many we have processed. I would say it's actually gone down significantly since I started. I'm going to guess a rough number of 30 to 40 maybe that have turned in since April.
Okay. This would have been turned in the last few days or something?
I haven't seen any across my desk recently.
Yeah. Okay. Anybody have anything else?
Yeah, Alan, there's a surface drainage project going on. I guess the city runs that project, correct?
The Inverness Drainage Project.
And it's really caused a mess. And there's no signage saying what it is, what it's for, how much it costs, anything like that, and who's responsible for it. Because I'm guessing, my guess is they're going to blame the water district.
I haven't heard any complaints, and I do know that the town has I believe they have a project page that I believe that the information for that's on, and I think that they've been sending out communications as well through their weekly updates and social media platforms.
Yeah. I know a lot of projects like that, sometimes the city wants to fly their flag on it and say, this project is paid for with your tax dollars, so many dollars is going for this project, and, it's estimated to be completed in a certain period of time. But nobody's taking credit or blame.
Understood. Well, and another thing I wanted to mention to you all too, if you haven't seen it yet, please go to the landing page of our website. We have a capital projects link now that's an actual interactive map that you can go and you can see all of the projects we've done over the past few years. It highlights the current project, generally what it is, where it's at, located. And then if you scroll down further on the main page of the website, we've been putting specific updates on this project as well, and every single update that's going out. So that and between our Facebook page, we've been trying to spread this information as much as possible. My goal is to have more of a link embedded into this packet moving forward that goes directly to that page on our website instead of just a single page. You can actually go to the website and see what the updates are. That make sense?
Yeah.
That's a goal.
Yeah, just to tag along with what Doug says, has nothing to do with the mud. It's actually the communication again, where I was at Vinny's. That's my props out to Vinny Hagan. And a guy came, Vinny told him, I guess, that I was on the mud board, and he comes over and goes, yeah, when are you guys going to be done that project? I'm going, that's not our project, that's the town. He goes, oh, I called the mud, and they referred me to the town or something like that. So.
Understood.
Anyway, okay. You have anything, Jim? Okay. You done? You good? You good? Pam, you got anything?
No.
Okay. Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. All matters listed as consent agenda are considered to be routine by the Board of Directors and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be a separate discussion of these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. Agenda 2, consider an act to approve the consent agenda. July 30th?
Should be the 30th.
Yes.
I had to look because I knew something was going to be flying over here. So,
Yeah,
okay,
should be the
July
30th.
30th, 2025, special session budget workshop minutes. And B, July 30th, 2025.
31st, Kevin. Not 30th, 31st.
Meeting was on the 30th.
Yeah, it's a typo. It's a typo. The minutes are correct, but there's a typo on the
We're
agenda.
not supposed to make mistakes, Lori.
I can't help it.
She made it for you, so you bring something up. Okay, regular meeting minutes. Do we have anyone that wants to remove one or the other besides the typo? I see nothing. Okay, all in favor of approving the consent agenda? I'll take a motion on that.
I'll make the motion that we approve the
Second.
consent agenda.
Okay, we have a by Neil and a second by Director Thomas. Okay, and that's both A and B, correct? Neil?
Yes, sorry.
That's all right. Okay, I have a motion, I have a second, all in favor, show of hands. Okay. Unanimous, and Vice President Rose is absent. Okay, moving into regular session. 3, receive status update from ESCI regarding audit of fire department operations and assets. This is something that we requested. I met with both representatives yesterday with Alan, and they are you're done with the collection of information, is that right? You can come
Yeah,
up.
Directors, this is Jeff Stone. He is the project manager for our assessment here of the fire department operations and assets. He is with ESCI. Thank you for coming,
What was your
Jeff.
partner's name again?
Dwayne,
Wayne, and he lived in North Carolina, right?
yes.
And you live in Georgia, right? Okay. I just wanted him to come and give us a quick update. He's probably anxious to get to the airport. You leaving tonight or?
No, actually, we're staying tomorrow. My
Okay.
wife's girlfriend and her sister live here in Dallas, so we're going to spend the day with them tomorrow, so.
Okay. I just want him to come in, introduce himself. He's going through all the fire-related items, the budget, the operations, the whole structure, and he'll report back to us by, you said by the 6 months or something, or by the end of the year?
So the project, we latitude ourselves 6 months, and technically the project started Monday. So we have been, the week or two before, we had the fire department sending in incident data, GIS mapping, things like that, trying to get an overlay of what the jurisdiction and town looks like. That is with the rest of our team back throughout the country. We're as it says, ESCI, Emergency Services Consulting International. So we have people all over the country working on it, so our team's everywhere. But our GIS and data analytics group is working on all that information, which was given a week or two ago. The project, really what we call our kickoff, started Monday when we got here at lunchtime. My partner, colleague, he left a couple hours ago to head back home. We spent the 2 days here really just kind of riding around the city, or excuse me, the town. I'm from Georgia, we call them all cities, so my apologies. But riding around, seeing the lay of the land here, what the town and what the community looks like, kind of what you're dealing with, get an eye of it. We've all spent, I'm probably the youngest guy in the department. I spent 30 years in the fire service and retired a couple of years ago. Everybody else has a lot more experience than me, 35, 40 years. So we know what we're looking for. We know what we're looking at. So we use that as product of this, which is an agency evaluation. And again, if you look back at the proposal that was originally sent to y'all, the very opening paragraph says it's called a snapshot. We call it a snapshot in time, and it's what does the Trophy Club Fire Department look like right now? So when we are looking at basically August, September of 2025, that's what we're looking at. We use some historical data to kind of make some projections for going forward. The project will have some recommendations based on where you've been in the past, what's gone on the past 4 or 5 years, and then what is, again, projected based on those historical data, what's going to happen over the next 4, 5, 6, 7, 10 years. All that's being analyzed. I haven't, we got to digest. Again, we've been here 2 days, so as much as an update, we've spent the 2 days collecting, talking to people in the fire department, again, other members. We talked to people with the town, on the township side, or town council side, I guess you would say, and just trying to get an idea. We try to look at everybody from everybody's point of view. It's not just, okay, what's the chief say? Or, we talked to some of the firefighters and other members. Again, we talked to President Carr yesterday and, Manager Fordeman here. Again, we talked to the town manager yesterday as well. So we kind of hit everybody, and we try to look at it from a 360-degree view and see what is actually going on. So we'll take all that back, and over the next several months, we will process that and begin working on the report. Like I say, probably, I think January is where we kind of calculated it out. May have been a bit sooner, but just due to holidays and whatnot with Thanksgiving, Christmas in there, that delays things for 2 or 3 weeks. So probably somewhere right first of the year, you should have a final report. So,
Did they, I understand after I left, Alan brought you up to date on the Westlake, how we, received revenue from Westlake, which is the city across the...
yes, and he has sent, as well as the chief and deputy chief, they've sent us some of the, I guess that part of the mapping. They showed it to us, kind of explained how where the mud district is, where it's collection outside the actual quote-unquote Trophy Club proper boundaries. So it does extend beyond that. So, yeah, that's all being analyzed and looked at, and, determination based on those things there.
We just recently became a taxing entity for the PID, where the town used to do a surcharge on them.
Mm-hmm.
And then we put the additional funds on a water bill to bill the people in the PID. Do you have anything? He's not here to go through what are you doing. It's just to introduce himself. And do you have anything that you want?
Some of us have been on this board off and on for a long time, and we've seen the fire department trends from a volunteer group. In fact, when I first moved here, I was being solicited to be a volunteer fireman. Regarding the policies, procedures of the fire department, I assume you're going to give it a good analysis and possibly make some recommendations.
So they have given us their policies and procedures. I'll tell you, with this is a higher level, and I know y'all refer to it as an audit. I want to make what we refer to as an audit. This is an agency evaluation. So just to clear, I know sometimes people use those terminologies. Audits typically get deep into the weeds and look at everything, especially like financial audits, operational audits, things like that. We don't go that deep with this type of project. Unless there's we'll look through the policies and procedures, but that's not part of the scope of work really in this project to go in and say, yes, you need to change this. Yes, because we're a national group, we come in from a general looking sense. We don't go in and try to dictate to individual clients, i.e. fire departments, EMS departments, police departments, and tell you, yes, you need to change this, yes, you do. Every community is a little bit different, and they have policies and procedures in place for their own reasons, and we don't feel it's our place to come in, and there are other companies out there that do that. That is not us.
I'm not talking about dictating changes, but it's also, with a fresh viewpoint, some people might make a recommendation on a procedure or something like that for national standards or whatever.
Not in policies and procedures, unless it's just something operationally, maybe. If they're sending something outlandish, I have been to places where they send, a department I went to had 6 stations, and, national standard only required for probably 3 of those stations to go to it, but yet they sent all 6 stations to every structure fire they went to, and we told them, hey, it's your department, your choice, but you may not want to send all those people because now you don't have any other coverage. But other than something like that, again, we do not dictate and come in and make, unless it's just something blatant, or if they're not sending enough resources. So if it's something massively extreme, we'll note it. It's part of the analytics and part of the assessment. But again, we do not come in and start dictating or making. We feel that recommendations become dictation.
No, I got your point. My next one is just on fire equipment. Do you look at the current equipment we have on our engine and also on our ladder truck, whether it's, I want to say not up to date, but do we have all the things covered for what we have in this area? Consider that we also have the automatic aid, where we actually would have to maybe go into a town like Roanoke if there was a warehouse fire or something like that, where there are multiple alarms. Active aid is what you were just talking about, where 6 fire stations all show up. That's how active aid kind of works around here, because all of a sudden you have South Lake, Grapevine, everybody is down at a structure fire. And, I guess they need, I won't say anything else on that, but that's kind of what is there anything you're going to be covering? Because one other thing too, and because I've watched some natural, disasters out in California, where they lose fire trucks and they lose equipment because they got caught up in some of these brush fires. We recently, 10 years ago bought the ladder truck, and about 5 years ago got the new engine. But something could happen, and we'd have to go out and get another one. And one of the things, I was on the committee, and one of the things we were trying to cope with is, what, besides the basic truck, what else do we need? And I'm always just kind of curious, do we have everything covered? Do you make any recommendations on that area?
So yes, 2 things we'll look at, and again, the instant data that the rest of the team is looking at in the GIS, all that's played a part of what's being analyzed right now. We'll take all that, compile it in. So yes, we'll review the apparatus, the age, the quality. We have this criteria that each piece of apparatus is based upon, and it's scored out. That'll be in the report, and it'll tell you whether that piece of apparatus is okay, it's good. Hey, you need to start thinking about changing it, or nope, you need to replace it now. So based on a systematic score that has, and all that's in the report. Also, as far as you mentioned mutual aid, we look at that. Yes, how much mutual aid are you receiving? How much are you giving? How many calls do you have? All those things. We look at time response analysis. That is all part of it. So yes, to answer that question, that's really probably a bulk of what we're looking at is the operational. We call it service delivery, and that encompasses everything that the fire department provides to Trophy Club, and as well, we specifically look at Trophy Club, the basic perimeters, boundaries, but we do encapsulate and look at some of the stuff where mutual aid is being received and given. So,
because I'm actually a big fan of automatic aid, and it's mutual aid by another name, but I mean, it's
both in the same, just 2 different systems of doing it.
Okay, one last question, and over 10 years ago, we became aware that the training of the firefighters wasn't properly being documented. And without the documentation, you couldn't go to the other say, is all the training that needed to be done being done? Are you also going to be reviewing the training documentation and also possibly looking at if any additional training is needed?
To some degree, but that's more of a high level. We look to see if training is, one, being documented, and that they have it going on. We won't go into the individual, I'm trying to remember off my,
I think that was 4F in your proposal.
it is, and then I'm explaining what that is, how deep we go. The 15, 16 members of the department, we don't go as far as to look at every, John, Jim, Sally, and Jake, and, hey, he only has 20 hours, he has 50 hours. We don't go that deep, but we look at it as a holistic, does the department provide, one, are they providing the opportunity for enough training? And again, we look at what Texas requires. Every state across the country requires something different. So we look at that and say, okay, what is the Texas requirement for a certified firefighter? Are they matching it? Are they going above or beyond? It's kind of at that level. We call it like a 10,000-foot view. Are they meeting it? Yes or no? And does the policy support that? So is there a training policy that supports, yes, you should be doing this? But we don't get to the point of, Ms. Liston, did she have enough training hours last year or not? We won't go that deep.
Okay, 'cause
Individually.
I personally look at the training aspect as a major component of what your study would be. So I'll be looking forward to seeing that sometime before the end of the year. Or January, as you said.
I will go ahead and tell you, it will be January. It'll take us that long to get through it. Like I said, if you'd have done this probably 3 months ago, we probably could have had it to you 1st of November. But with the holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas, I will go ahead and tell you it will be the 1st of January before the final report's here for you.
I just had a quick legal question to Pam. The ILA specifically says that we can call out for an audit. Is this considered an audit, that we're still following the ILA?
I'd like to say I'd like to look at that.
Okay, because I thought
sure it's gonna
they were doing
qualify.
an audit as we were told, and we went out, we approved for us to go out for an audit.
Yes.
For the ILA.
Well, the
Okay,
request for a proposal was for an audit.
right. Well, we were just following the language in the ILA. Okay. You have anything, Doug?
I'm good.
Jim?
I'm pretty sure you answered the question, but I'm just going to say it just to be 100% sure. Our situation is unique in that the Mud District actually started the fire department. Then over time, came to an agreement where we split the cost of the people with the town. And then we came to an agreement where the town actually runs it, but we still own it. And we still own all of the land, the apparatus, and the lookout for us. It sounds like you're not going to get into this trap. People will forget that the Mud District has the ability to tax its jurisdiction, which a bunch of it is across the highway in Westlake. The town cannot. And so if the entire department was given over to the town, it would raise our expenses almost $300,000 a year.
And that's, I don't know if the chief or Alan explained that to you. It's been tried many times or evaluated many times. In fact, Chris actually did a water and sewer report on it, and they said, we don't want to talk about the fire. Is that right, Chris? And the reason for that is because of the money, the financing part. They said, oh, it'll only be like 200 or something. Well, based on taxation valuation this year, they got the real story. And the council voted overwhelmingly that said, we don't want to talk about the fire anymore. So I don't know if they told you that story or not, but it's just as Director Thomas said, because of financial impact of the people in Trophy Club.
I just didn't want you to go down that trap, which occurs almost every time somebody comes in and looks at fire, because they don't understand. It sounds like you're not dealing with the financial side anyway.
We look at a high-level budget. We're not going to get into,
Sources.
No, we'll look at sources. And again, my clarification earlier was when you used the word audit. In our world, when you say audit, specifically like financial audits, other things like that, audits typically go all the way down to the weed, and we're talking about every penny that's moved. Why is this? We look at line item things. We do not go that far. So I just wanted to make sure you're clear that this is a system. This is the operational overall system evaluation of Trophy Club Fire Department.
And the only point I was making is the bottom line is the mud generates significantly more fire tax than the town can generate because of this interesting dichotomy we have.
Because of your operational boundaries, yeah, that was explained. We had a long conversation about how it, because you incorporate larger area than the actual city limit, or excuse me, town limits.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, anything else? Alan, you want to add anything?
I'm good. We had a good conversation, and I'm here to help you if you have anything else along the way.
Oh, I'm sure as we go along, as this, that's what we do. We spend a couple of days getting to know everybody, and then over the next several months, we continue emails and phone calls and Zoom calls, and so.
Will some of your study involve a response time?
Yes. Going back to,
No, this was just, sorry, I was just curious, with that little hurricane spiraling up the coast, hopefully you're not traveling to a coastal city when you leave here.
no, I'm Athens, Georgia is near where I'm at, so
Oh, I know
I'm
it,
about
yeah.
2 hours in, although the last couple of years, some of the hurricanes have reached us. So, where I was at.
Just last year.
Yeah, that came in, we were considered a hurricane, a Category 1, and then while I was still fire chief, it was a moderate Category 2, almost a 3, where we were at. First time in history. Like I said, I'm 50 years old and living in Georgia almost all of that life, and there's never been a hurricane that far, that area. And I lived a little bit closer to Atlanta, and it wiped out everybody, so.
As you climb into our system, you'll see all of this. It's just truly unique. The town owns the EMS vehicles. They own the ambulances.
Mm-hmm.
We let them house them in our facilities at no charge. We own all the fire equipment.
Mm-hmm.
It's just an interesting situation.
It is, and again, we're looking at all that, and, again, we spent 2 days talking about it, we'll talk about it more. I'm not gonna sit here and claim to understand all of it in 2 days, but again, that's why we allow ourselves 6 months to get a better grip on it and understand it, and I'm sure there'll be more questions that, between Alan and the fire department and, the town manager, we'll talk to everybody as to what's going on, and we'll come in and, what recommendations we do make will be based upon what we see, based upon, national statistics, best standards. It's not just national, NFPA, everybody always refers to that. It's not just NFPA. We'll use industry best standards. Again, all of us have 30, 40 years of fire experience in multiple departments. We'll bring all that in, and, we come in unbiased. I don't know any of you. I don't know anybody in the fire department. I don't know anybody in the town. We're going to come in and give you what we believe would be the best. Our goal and our motto and our company's motto is, we're going to try to make this community better. That's our only goal. It has nothing to do with anybody in particular. Your board, their council, the fire department. Has nothing to do with any of y'all. It's good. We're going to look out for your 15, 16,000
Come
citizens.
budget time, I do not want to be in our fire chief's shoes. He gets to go to the town council and seek permission for any EMS equipment and permission for any 50% of any personnel. Then he's got to turn around and come to us and get permission for all of the fire apparatus and equipment and the other 50% of fire personnel. So it's an interesting task for him.
Were you introduced to any council members?
I'm sorry?
Council members, were you introduced to them?
No. I
know
think
they had a meeting.
the Chief Wise said he'd reached out to a couple and they thought they might be able to stop by while we were here, but.
No show?
I'm sorry?
There were no shows?
Well, no, this is, a week or two ago when we were talking about it, he said he had extended an invitation. They said, and it was kind of if we have time, we will. So it was nothing permanent or in concrete.
I think they had a meeting Monday, that's why I asked.
Yeah, so, it was, he said, if they'll have the ability, they would, but, again.
Yeah, the reason I brought it up is I know one for sure, maybe two. I think they talked to you, Neil and Jim, about maybe the mud taking the fire and EMS two back. And I haven't talked to any of them, but I didn't know if Brandon mentioned that to you. There might be an option, because we discussed it at our joint meeting. I think it was the 30th of July, right, Lori? It was the 30th of July? Okay. Yeah, I think that was one of the
No.
options, wasn't it?
Joint meeting was June 18th.
But basically, it's a financial deal. If they took over everything, it would cost this community a lot of money because they can't raise the taxes across the street. If we were to take over the EMS equipment, well, we can tax for that across the street, which helps pay for that stuff.
Okay, I just brought it up as I don't know if anyone mentioned it to you, but that was one of the options there, three,
I
right?
told him about the comments made about what might that look like, and if the town was open to considering that as an option. So that'll be something they dive through in their report.
Okay. You have anything else, Jim?
All set.
Doug?
One question, are they going to look at EMS as well as fire?
No, this is only
This
fire.
is just fire.
Okay.
So-
So the
We
fire and
we
EMS.
basically-
So just a clarification, EMS is part of the fire department. EMS is ran by,
Same people.
it's the same people, Trophy Club. I understand y'all pay for different aspects, but all the EMS calls that happen is handled by Trophy Club Fire Department, and that is a single entity. I won't get into semantics now in the report of who owns what or this or that. At that point, again, we look at it from a community standpoint. EMS is run by Trophy Club Fire Department. The fire department, Trophy Club Fire Department responds to fire calls and respond to EMS calls. So it is collectively, yes, we are looking at that. And a minute ago, you asked the other question of, do we looking at call times? Yes, that's a big thing that we
Response
look
time.
at, the response times. We look at the whole, what we call response time continuum.
7 minutes seems like a long response time. For a small community like this.
Again, I haven't seen the numbers, so if you're saying 7 minutes, I've not,
That's
the
just
data
what
does
it's
not come to me, it goes to our data analytics, and then
Sure.
when they crunch it, they send it to me, and then I look at it, and then we get deep into what it is or it, and then, I can tell you where did you get 7 minutes?
That's what they told me, the fire guys did, EMS people.
Okay. This day and time with the way society is, that's,
Yeah, until you look over all the data, I mean, you can get a better answer.
yeah. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to say
Yeah.
that's right or not. But I mean, we see everything from communities that have 3 minutes to, I've dealt with a community that had 22 minutes.
Well,
In grand looking across the nation, probably 7 minutes is not that bad. But
When you're laying
again,
on the ground-
that's depending on your community and what you think is good and bad. So that's how we look at it.
when you're laying on the ground clutching your chest, it seems like hours, though.
Every second counts, yes.
Okay. Neil, you were good?
All set.
Okay, and you're good? Okay, move on. Thank you again for coming by.
Thank y'all. Have a good evening.
Well, okay, let's just go down to the last one. I'll work our way back for Chris's,
Or Chris.
had to say that. Okay, let's see, 4, Agenda 4, discussion possible action regarding rate assumptions and projections for fiscal year 2026 budget. Chris, nice to see you, as always.
Directors, before we get started, I know that you all are familiar with Chris Eckroot with New Gen. He has been working for the district for many years now, and I would like to say that I'm personally, I think it's important for you all to know that recently he has been promoted to the CEO of New Gen Strategies. And when we had the initial conversation, my first concern was, are we going to continue to have this relationship? Unless something changes major that I'm unaware of, he has made it aware that he wants to continue to hold us as a client. So, I take great pride in that. I think he enjoys working with us. I hope that we're an easy client. And I just wanted to make sure y'all knew about that. To me, that's a big deal when you have the CEO standing here looking at your information and district and looking out for our best interest as well and your constituents. So
Amen.
I just want to make sure that y'all knew that.
Yeah, well-deserved, and I echo Alan's comments. I mean, You've always done good for us, presentations, back just running numbers on Westlake and us and stuff.
Yes, sir.
It's very nice that you're with us.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me tonight. Again, I'll echo Alan's comments. Everybody in our company serves clients. That is our business. And so our full intent, my full intent, is to continue to serve you, continue to do what's right for the district. That does not change regardless of what happens internally with NewGen. But I do appreciate the comments. Thank you so much. It is my pleasure to be here with you this evening and report to you that the district is in fantastic financial shape. As we have looked at numbers going into next budget year, you're in a revenue sufficient position. Your rates are sufficient. As we look at your reserves are in a great position. You are in a very good reserve position. As we look at your debt service coverage, you are able to pay your debt. You're able to cover your debt. You represent a very low credit risk to the market should you have to go and borrow debt. But with that, I'm also going to stand here tonight and ask you to consider a very small, about a 2% water rate increase going into next year. And let me explain why. We've talked before that when we're looking at the water and wastewater system, we want to make sure that our rates cover our operational cost. As we look at your budget going into next year, we are anticipating just under about $150,000 increase in your cost of wholesale treated water from the city of Fort Worth. This represents about 22% of your overall budget. And as we've talked about your not-for-profit business, when we look at your wholesale water expense, that represents to you the cost of goods sold. You simply take that product, you sell it to your customers, you pass that cost through. And so any well-run business would generally pass through the cost of goods sold in their pricing. And we're recommending that you consider doing the exact same thing. Why? Ultimately, if you do not pass through the increases that you experience in your cost of goods sold, you are reducing the amount of money you have to handle your own internal distribution system, your own internal collection system. So the numbers I'm going to show you tonight include a very small pass-through, passing through this $150,000 in cost increase that you're anticipated to experience from Fort Worth. And I'll show you what that does to a customer here in just a second. Again, as we look at the district, we look at your operational costs, we look at your capital plan. What you see here is that capital plan going forward. Again, a robust capital plan, $3.81 million next year, all funded with available cash and reserves, which is a fantastic position to be in. We're not anticipating that you're going to need to go to the debt markets, even as we look out over the next 5 years. As we look at your overall revenue sufficiency position, so again, I'm looking at what is your expense versus what is your rate revenue from water and wastewater. What you see on the screen on the left side is your water performance. Again, under current rates, you are in a sufficient position right now. As we project out cost increases in terms of inflation, in terms of cost increases from Fort Worth. So we have put this projection together. We will continue to look at this year over year, see what this looks like in the future. You may not be in the position I'm showing you in 2027 because you are in a very good position right now. On the wastewater side, you're in a good position there, just as I spoke with you about last April. Long term, we're looking even better on the wastewater side. We'll see what it looks like when we get out to 2029. 2030. But again, you've made good decisions. You've made some difficult decisions over the years to put you in the financial position that you are in. So my hat's off to this board for doing what needs to be done to make sure that you are able to be in this solid financial position. As I said, we look at debt service coverage. All that is taking your total revenues less your operating and maintenance expense, then comparing what's left over to your debt, to your principal and interest requirements. You're in good shape there. On your reserve position, you're in very good shape on your reserve position. That is what allows you to cash fund that capital plan in both cash and reserves going forward and not have to access the debt market. So again, all in all, very, very good financial position. But what I am asking you to consider is a slight 2% overall increase in water rates. This would not be on the fixed charge. As a reminder, you have a two-part rate. There's a fixed charge, there's a variable charge. All we're proposing to do is increase that variable charge. So as you see the volumetric charge here right now for in-district customers, 0 to 6,000 gallons, $4.69. We would propose you increase that to $4.82, and then make commensurate changes within the rest of your structure to maintain your conservation signal to your customers that you're sending right now.
Question.
Yes, sir.
So the answer that we would give to our residents is we are making a rate change to cover the cost of water from Fort Worth that has gone up. Therefore, we have to pass that cost through.
That is correct. That is,
I mean, it would be
that
that
is
simple.
spot on. It is that
Is
simple.
that simple?
Yes,
Okay.
sir. It is that simple. So what this does to a customer, again, not recommending any change on wastewater rates at all at this time, but what does this mean to a customer? A 5,000 gallon water customer, this would raise their monthly water bill by 65 cents. For a 10,000 gallon water customer, that would raise that bill by $1.42. If we look at more on the commercial side, a 2-inch customer, larger customer here, more water use, just looking at that 15,000 gallon mark, it would raise a 15,000 gallon water bill for a 2-inch customer by $2.22. Again, this is about a 2% overall increase next year, designed to generate around $150,000 year over year to simply pass through the cost increase you're experiencing from Fort Worth. We always go in, and again, we test our plan. You're already in good financial position. This puts you in even better financial position. We look at debt, we look at reserves. We're still in very good shape under this plan. So again, I'm happy to report to you that this is the lowest rate increase that I have recommended to any board or council this budget season. So kudos to you for the position you're in. Happy to answer any questions that you may have for me. Yes, sir.
Regarding Fort Worth water, have you been made aware of what you might anticipate as a increase in pricing for next year?
So again, that's the $150,000 increase in overall charges to you. Are you looking for a specific rate?
I was looking at a percent. What are they increasing it by? 2%, 3%? What are they increasing their rate per 1,000 gallons?
For their retail customers?
Yes.
I do not know what their retail increase looks like. No, sir.
Okay.
But what it represents to you from Fort Worth is about a 5% overall change in your cost of water from Fort Worth.
Okay, and you look at the volume of water that we purchase, so roughly, are you using like 850 million, or are you using $1 billion or $1.1 billion?
I don't have that number right off the top of my head, but we're being consistent with your mix of water between your wells and between the city of Fort Worth. So we maintain consistency in overall take.
In that regard, are you assuming that the drawdown on our wells will remain the same and not go up?
So again, we maintain the ratio mix. So yes, we're assuming you continue to use water as you're using water right now, that you're not going to change how you're using your wells versus how you're using water from Fort Worth.
Well, let me ask the question a different way so I can make sure I'm clear with your answer. Hypothetically, I'm buying 80% of my water from Fort Worth, and I pump 20% of my water out of the wells.
Yes.
The rate increase is going up because the 80% is going to cost me more money.
Correct.
I'm still doing 80-20.
Yes, sir.
The 80 is just going to cost me more money.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That is correct.
In other words, Jim, you're screwed.
Well, we could tell Alan to draw more water out of the wells if we could get to, if we
Need to run a
can.
pipe from that treatment plant to your house. Fill that pond up.
Typically, if you look year over year, we're doing, to our customers, we're selling about a billion gallons. I think we're pretty much plateaued
Sir.
at that, other than a wet year or a dry year, which I don't know if we're ever going to have a wet year again.
When we do our calculations, we plan for what we call normal weather. The problem is normal weather doesn't exist in Texas. We plan for a normal, quote, normal year under a 30-year rainfall estimate. And we continue to look at that. We continue to revise that. But there are some years that will be dry, your sales will be higher. There are some years, maybe, that it'll be wet, your sales will be lower. Our goal is to plan for normal, and over time, it all works itself out.
I got a question for Alan in this regard. Just what is our rough percent of water from Fort Worth versus our wells?
It goes anywhere from 90-10 to 80-20, depending on the time of the year and how much we can pump. Because the more we pump, the less we can yield from the wells to offset the total maximum amount per day. Because our wells can only produce so much a day.
Okay.
So if we can only produce, let's just say hypothetically, we can only produce 900,000 gallons a day, and we're pushing 7 million a day, obviously your percentage on the Fort Worth purchase side is going to be higher because we can't increase the well production higher than 900,000 gallons.
So the bottom line is you're sitting at max out of the wells now. So my thought was, why can't we pump more water out of the wells and reduce this cost?
Because
Well,
we're maxed.
Because we're maxed out, okay.
And we could always do a
Are we maxed out
feasibility.
because of our pumps, or are we maxed out because of the aquifer?
It's the size. It's the size of the wells that we currently have in place. And if we want to go in and look at some sort of feasibility study, you're probably looking at about $1 million to determine if it's worth offsetting the expense of Fort Worth water.
Okay.
This is kind of the part of the reason why we're going with the the South Lake emergency connection, because trying to go in and offset expenses from Fort Worth is not conducive to the overall return on investment right now.
Okay, got
Make
it.
sense?
Yep.
Okay.
So, just real quick summary, what the average customer in Trophy Club, you mentioned that, 65 cents or whatever. What's, is the average $1 maybe to tell people?
Your average is run anywhere from, I want to say 7,000 gallons, I believe is your average. So it would be somewhere between that. Yeah, it'd be close to $1 a month, $12 a year.
Fort Worth put out a statement a couple months ago or something. They said they expect like $1.71
Right.
increase or something.
Right.
So, okay. But we need to get this out on the website so people can look at it.
And this is part of the function tonight. We go through this, we get y'all's agreeance. The current budget that we're proposing later on in this agenda incorporates this as part of our revenue source. And then we'll also be bringing back the rate adjustments for y'all's approval next month.
I mean, Jim, Neil, and I were involved in a lot of Fort Worth increases. Sometimes we dip into the reserve and offset it so it didn't increase. You remember that, Neil?
Yes.
Yeah. And that's not the best thing to do. And we got here doing the right thing and listening to Chris, obviously. So I think, my feeling is we need to go ahead and do this.
Chris, on the current slide that you have up there, that includes their meter
Yes, sir.
plus the anticipation. Okay.
That is both the fixed charge and the variable charge. Yes, sir. That is total monthly bill.
Alan, as we go forward, whatever that is, either on our website or however you do it, there needs to be a simple explanation to our residents. And I mean simple. We're having a 2% increase in water rates because the rates from Fort Worth have gone up, and we are driving our well water at its maximum capacity. The pumps won't deliver anymore.
Sir, we did a pass-through rate increase last year as well, and we'll notify the residents and customers of the same this year. Yes, sir.
Do you have impact on that 1 inch? Because most of the houses, at least the newer ones, all 1 inch.
I do not, but we can run that for you. Again, since we're not changing the base rate, the impact is the same.
Okay.
Ultimately,
It's
it's
just volumetric.
just volumetric. This is only a volumetric increase. So if you use no water, you're not going to see any kind of a change in your monthly bill. That's obviously not
Like
realistic.
me, but if you use a lot of
Right.
water, like
If you use a
Jim,
lot of water,
you
you're
see
going to
lot.
see a higher increase in your bill. Yes, sir.
Okay, if we could probably just put this chart on there and say, here's, 3/4, 1 inch, same effect, like Chris just said. You use more water, you're gonna pay, So hopefully, you already in the last few years, you could see an impact of people trying to save their water and, like they say, water is gold, it costs money.
Chris, is there any major project that Fort Worth Water is considering that may, increase their future charges to us?
I'm not intimately familiar with their CIP plan. My understanding of the primary increase that they're dealing with this year is because raw water to them from Tarrant Regional Water District increased. And so as you start to look at that, that comes into the larger water supply projects such as the integrated pipeline that is impacting everyone in the region and is bringing more water from lakes in East Texas.
Yeah.
So that really is one of the key drivers on Fort Worth's increase is their own pass-through from Tarrant Regional. That's not to say that Fort Worth does not have their own capital plan that they're executing on. I just don't have I don't have that information for you this evening.
I can tell you that one project that I'm aware of, they started a few years ago, was their Eagle Mountain expansion project, and that one is also including activated carbon technology to remove PFAS from their drinking water, so that would essentially affect us on the backside. I assume that part of the rate structure last year and this year includes those capital improvements.
Don't worry, they like to pass on those expenses.
Yes, sir.
I would like to see kind of like the data that backed up on when I start talking about the amount of water, raw water that we purchase and how it impacted your data.
Absolutely.
Okay.
More than happy to get that to you.
You know what would be a good idea for the website is put a calculator on there. They can put in, look at your water bill and say, okay, this is how much it's going to affect me by what I've used in the last 6 months or a year, or whatever. And it's simple calculator. It shouldn't be hard to find an app that can do that. Okay. Do you have anything, Neil? Anymore?
I'm done.
Do you have any? Okay, it's a flat 2%, you said?
So it's a 2% overall revenue increase. Again, because of the way the increase is structured, note that the increase the overall dollar increase is higher the more you use. So we're only going up from 469 to 482 at 0 to 6,000 gallons. But if you get up to that 50,000 gallon mark, that's $8.53 going to $8.77.
Right, it's 2% of whatever.
So, overall, it's a 2% revenue increase. Your actual impact to your bill could be higher if you use more water.
That's why I suggested find some sort of an app that can calculate online, and people won't say, oh, they only said, from
Right.
65 to so. Yeah, if you go 0 to 6,000, if you're pulling 50,000, it's going to be different. And that's on the commercial rate volumetric.
Yes,
Okay.
Quick question for you. With the changes we've made recently where the PID, the well sites, the condo sites are all now in the mud, is there any outside district existing anymore?
You may have a handful.
My understanding is we only have one out-of-district customer.
Right.
And that's going to be something that, do we really want to continue to hold the secondary out-of-district rate structure for one water customer
Who
only?
is it?
It's an individual that lives out on the northeast side of town off of T.W. King.
Right.
Because we can simplify this process by not having to run outside rates for one single meter.
Why are they not in the mud district?
This is an outlying piece of property that has no other source of water other than from a backfed piece of Trophy Club. Been here for many, many decades.
I think I know what you're talking, but they're not actually in Trophy Club.
That's correct.
No, they're off T.W. King.
And if that's something y'all are okay with, and we only have a single out-of-district customer, and we now know that we've expanded our boundaries to the fullest extent, then we can also bring back our rate structure to not include an out-of-district rate anymore.
The manpower and just the scenario, it seems like it doesn't make any sense. You can just send a bill out,
Yeah, for one
everybody
customer,
flat rate.
yeah, for one
But
meter.
will it make Mike's world better or something?
Actually, it
We don't
will
wanna
help
do
our billing staff not have to do a
Yeah.
single
Nah, I-
out-of-district, and also help our rate consultant not have to worry about running this every single year.
that. Yeah, I think that's probably the best
Okay.
way to go. But
Very
that's
good.
not what's on the agenda right now, but.
Understood. We have
add on-
direction.
Yeah, okay. So what the question we're voting on is possible action regarding rate assumptions and projections for fiscal year 2026. And if someone wants to make a motion to accept the 2% overall based on volume,
Can I
right?
ask a question before you do a motion?
I'm not doing a motion, but go ahead.
Pam, can it be incorporated in the motion that we do away with the one outside district meter?
No.
Okay, that's a separate item, okay.
We'll bring that back to the next month's meeting for your
This,
approval.
Okay.
again, this is for budget assumptions for Alan and the finance people to use the 2%.
You ought to approve the pass-through rate increase as suggested by New Gen Strategies.
Okay.
I'd make a motion that we do that.
As stated. Is that
I
a-
second.
that.
Doug beat me.
Okay. I have a motion by Director Thomas, second by Secretary Treasurer Harper. Any further discussion? I don't see any. Show of hands. Okay, unanimous. Thank you very much, and
Thank you so much.
congratulations.
Pleasure to be with you. I appreciate that. Thank you so
Chris.
much.
Thank you, Chris.
Take care.
Good to see you.
Thanks, Chris.
See you around the wastewater rate, right? See you later, Chris. Okay. 5, discussion possible action regarding fiscal year 2026 draft budget.
Okay, directors, what I would like to do, we've given you a hard copy. We sent you the final proposed draft budget. And the biggest change from last month to this month is in relation to the fire fund, how we're going to be capturing the revenue for this fund, and generally what has changed. So if you're looking at the first page, you can see that the tax rate comparison is showing a maintenance and operation tax rate increase of roughly 10%. What I would like to draw to your attention is we are now converting from a flat assessment for the town boundary area and converting that to a tax. With that tax increase for operations, it will be 6 cents, and our current debt, INS debt, is 0.00814. So what we're proposing is a total tax rate of 0.06814 for the year. Now, another thing to keep in mind too is as we're calculating this, we had a significant increase in valuations within the district itself, not only because of the boundary expansion, but we also had the out-of-district, out-of-pit area, which was the old gas well sites combined into the total district Denton County area. And we also had new construction within the Westlake area that helped with the overall increase.
It's from Neil.
Neil. It's an Excel sheet.
And when we last discussed, we were looking at a deficit on the fire fund side, and I'm pleased to present to you all tonight that we do have a balanced budget on the fire side and the general fund side. As we continue to go down, what I would like to point out is the major changes that we had on the expenses line item itself on the proposed fire fund are related to the shared capital outlays. We have decreased those as requested by the board, and I've worked with the town to identify what's most important and budget for those accordingly. The other thing that you need to take into consideration is with this new tax rate, we will not only be able to cover the budgeted expenses shown here tonight, but we will also be capturing $119,500 additional dollars that we will be using for capital outlays and essentially beginning to recapture lost funds from the last 2 years so we can start better planning for the replacement of the fire trucks in the future. And I say that because as of today, we should have roughly $1.5 million sitting in our reserves to replace both of the fire trucks at the appropriate range. If you take out our fund balance of roughly $400,000, including the proposed $120,000 we'll be receiving this budget year, we're still going to be looking at a $600,000 deficit we need to begin overcoming. I know that that's a lot of information.
Quick question for you, Alan. Nobody raised any concern 24, 25 because we dropped our tax rate from 06381 to 06250. So in 2 sentences or 20 words or less, what is the words that we use to explain to a resident why we're raising the tax rate this year?
Because we have expanded the district boundary. We are collecting for more revenue off of our tax rate. And so in order to encumber this and go to the maximum voter approval rate as directed by the Board of Directors, we will now be capturing not only what is expended, but we will also be capturing additional that we can start for future capital outlay replacement.
But aren't we also increasing our overall revenues by a ton?
It's increasing, yes,
So we increase our revenues, why do we have to increase our taxes?
because in order to backfund your capital expenses, you need money. We have no money other than the roughly $400,000 in fund reserves for capital future replacements. So what we're proposing is you go ahead and increase your tax rate to the maximum voter approval rate so we can start recapturing the funds that we need in 5-10 years to replace these $1.5, $2 million fire trucks.
This goes back to something I think you said in the last meeting, and the town was capturing certain funds because of the PID, but not, and reserving them, using them for themselves. They were not passing them forward to us.
So
And now we've got to make up that difference.
technically, yes. So the best way to explain this is the PID area's proportionate share of money was collected on a flat assessment per property on behalf of the town, which decreased the district's overall share of total fire fund dollars. So now, essentially what has happened is the district has now expanded, and we were going to be taxing individuals based off of the same structure that the rest of the district customers have been experiencing for decades.
And that's where I'm a little confused at, because, I mean, maybe you got involved in it last year, Regina, but when Stephen was here, he would say, okay, the mud is taxed at whatever, 625, we'll say, he rounded off. Okay, he would look at the appraised value of the PID and send the information to the town and said, this is the dollar amount we need. How you come up with it, you can pay it out of your pocket, charge .870, is that what it was, 8.70 on the water bill? Something around that.
That's for the surcharge for the
Right,
debt piece.
Right, the debt, okay? Then you have to collect a surcharge for the fire, the remaining portion of that, from the PID people.
Okay.
They didn't get any tax benefit because it wasn't a tax write-off. So if we're talking about just dollar numbers, this is where I get lost. If you're trying to get X amount of dollars, and then you apply a tax and supposedly the same number, all we did was pass the number and say, we don't care how you get it, but this is what you owe us for fire, and then we added the debt charge onto the water bill. So how does something change to become more expensive now?
So I understand what your perspective is. We are only collecting to our maximum voter approval rate based off of that 3.5%. Everything that was previously built was used off of a percentage share of total valuation in Denton County area. I can tell you this, that the prior year's PID assessment didn't include the out-of-district, out-of-PID, because at the time there was no means of them being able to collect that assessment on those lots. So those lots were getting free fire service.
Because they were, yeah, but
Because
there's
they were
nothing
out
on the
of the
lot, what
PID.
kind of fire are you gonna have?
They were out of the PID, out of the district. There was no mechanism to collect any fees from them for fire service.
But that's a fire tax. We're talking about.
It's not the
M&O
fire
and
tax, it
IS.
was a fire assessment that was previously collected from the
Surcharge.
town for their proportionate share. And again, I want to go back to the direction has always been, let's collect up to our voter approval rate so we can collect what we need to for our expenses. There's been a concern of how are we going to pay for our fire trucks. This overall tax rate is structured such that we have pushed it to the 3.5% overall tax rate, and we're now over capturing to start being able to refund and pay for our fire trucks for future use.
Look, Alan, let me come back and say it again.
You understand this
There's
now?
no way a resident would comprehend what you just got through saying.
Understood.
So what do you say to a resident that's 20 words or less as to why is your tax rate going up?
This is the truth in taxation issue that has been going on for decades and before I even started. In my personal opinion, what has been captured and collected on the PID side has not been proportionally accurate, in my opinion. This now is the truth in taxation methodology that best serves the individuals based off of their property values.
So are you saying that the town was actually not charging a high enough flat rate?
I don't know if it was a town
Well, they're the ones that did
district.
it.
It will, but a lot of this is based off of proportionate share. So it's very difficult to understand. And the good thing about it is moving forward, we don't have to deal with surcharge and assessments. We're solely taxing for what is required to fund this fire fund, proportionally equal to all residents. Yes, sir.
Okay, but for Jim's viewpoint, you also have to think the last couple of years, you've been funding a deficit for the fire department, mainly taking money out of your reserves, right? And if you grossed up your tax rate so you wouldn't have to take out of reserves, your tax rate wouldn't be combined, 6.25. It would be higher. And at the same time, while the PID has been out there, you've been collecting about $140,000 a year for INS and some O&M. And that's that extra surcharge the PID customers have had on their water bill. Now, that's not a tax. That was an extra revenue stream coming in. So now you don't have that revenue stream coming in. So between the deficit spending that you were doing for the fire and that revenue stream, that's what makes up the bulk of why this tax rate would be going up. So it's more like, I don't have that income coming in from the PID anymore that it was attached to their water bill, which was about $140,000. Plus, at the same time, I'm now trying to, I also had that thing where if you actually raise the fire tax up to where you might, if to be even with the fire budget, that's also in there. So it's like two pieces of a pie. You got to put it together. But now, with this voter approval rate, we can go back, claw back some of that money that we should have been putting into the GASB fire reserves and do it over the next probably 2 or 3 years. It's going to take, you're not going to do it in 1 year. It's going to take 2 or possibly 3 years.
Neil, I understand everything you said.
Good.
Now, in 20 words or less, how do we explain to the residents of this community that their taxes are going up? You got to give them a simple explanation that makes sense.
To fund the fire department, we've been taking money out of reserves.
Yep.
Okay, and 2, there was a PID charge on their water bill that we don't get anymore, which is about $140,000.
What does M&O and INS have to do with the fire department?
There's nothing to do, but that's the money that was coming in from the PID water bills. They were paying part of the debt service, and they were also paying probably a little sliver on O&M.
If you'll see, the majority of your M&O rate for the district.
I see the fire taxes going up.
Correct. So the majority of your M&O fire tax for the district is to fund fire. The rest of it is only funding your non-departmental of roughly $180,000 a year.
All right, one last time, 20 words or less, what can we say to the residents of Trophy Club as to why the tax rate is going up? Simplistic, where they can understand it.
To offset the previous PID assessment and surcharge.
Okay, I can live with that.
Okay.
And I think most people would accept that. That's a very simple explanation.
But the main reason why is to fund the fire fund.
It's basically to, you can call it reserve or whatever, but as time goes on, the equipment needs to be replaced. And we have to build our reserves back up, so when there's capital expenditures, we have the money in reserves. We don't have to go out for bonds or anything like that.
It's a correction to the books to take into consideration the fact that there's no longer an assessed value of the PID. The PID is now paying a tax just like everyone else. This is an adjustment to make sure that tax rate is equivalent to everybody.
Correct.
Right, and they won't have the charge on their water bill anymore.
Correct.
Right. That I think people can live with.
That was more than 20 words. actually.
Well, 23 words.
Now, it's likely that it'll go up next year too.
And that's the hope. And I think a lot of that has to do with the strategic planning of the fire department and how they plan on any kind of future budgeted expenses. But our goal is, as I met with the town manager, the goal and hope is to maintain the voter approval rate and recapture money so we can put it back into capital replacement for future. Like I said, right now we're about $600,000 behind on capital replacement money that we would have in the bank. I would prefer to have in the bank, let me say that.
See, the non-knowledgeable, and I mean severely non-knowledgeable resident gets a bill and says, Facebook, our taxes have gone up from the mud district. This is horrible. You know, and there needs to be that simple explanation. Yes, they have, and this is what cost it.
Right.
And it's an adjustment to take care of the PID going away and getting everything correctly balanced financially.
And there is
And
some
we're
of that
not
language.
charging more than voter-approved rate.
Correct.
I mean, the people on the PID should look at it like, hey, I get to, deduct my property taxes for the mud now.
Oh, I think they're
Yeah.
much better off.
But the whole purpose when the PID was created, that wasn't a good idea, but we did it, the town did it anyway, was to make the PID pay exactly the same amount, on taxes, mud, city, whatever taxes you want to call them. And obviously the surcharge and the revenue from the water bill, it got out of line there and stuff.
Well,
So-
Kevin, if you recall, you and I were on this board at that time, and
Neil was too.
And Neil was here too. We insisted that the town make it exact.
We did too. I
We had
know.
a real battle over it at the
No,
time.
But when you put something on a taxation bill, Denton County, and you can't deduct it from your normal taxes, or you get a revenue line item on your water bill, I mean, there's a lot of people go, how come my water bills, went up this much? There's no explanation that they were given for it. They just saw it on it and go, what's this, mud screwing you again?
And this is a benefit to make everyone equal. They're being taxed
Yeah.
fairly.
Even the out-of-district person.
That's correct. They're not in district and don't pay taxes. They just have a water bill.
Right.
But you're exactly right. And the reason I wanted to make sure we had this deep discussion to see y'all understand, we're now trying to make sure we recapture what we need to for future replacements. And also, the numbers that you see in this budget and the rates that you are going to discuss later are reflected in this fire fund and overall budget. So I wanted to make sure you all were aware of that.
Another option is to, when you go to buy capital improvement or equipment, you go out for a bond. Guess how much that's going to cost you?
We can discuss a bond at the time. I know that you all are against that, but we do have INS and capital purchase leases we can issue on the INS side when it comes to that time, yes.
The point I was getting to is if you build more reserves later, it's less you have to finance through a bond.
And that is very true, and it's cheaper to save your money now than issue a bond.
Yep.
Okay? And then on the general fund side of budgeting, the only change on this one compared to last month is an increase in meter expenses. We've found a underrun on our meter replacements this year just because we've had so many failing on us that we were unaware of. So we're being systematically aggressive with our current and next year's meter program. But other than that, everything is fairly static from last month. We do have a balanced budget, and overall, from year to year, that was approved last year. In the amended side, we are roughly showing a 1.5% increase overall.
Alan, just curiosity, what was failing on the meters? What was it?
It's the actual, the
Yes.
ultrasonic meters, it's the displays, they're just failing. And most of them that have been failing are anywhere from 10 to 15 years old.
Those are the
They
new
still can
ones?
be read, can't they?
They can be read digitally, but they're having issues. Most often when they replace them, it's because they're either not reading or they're not reading properly. So we go ahead and get them out of the system to make sure that we're accurately billing
Were
individuals.
they reading lower, higher?
Most of them are just a failure.
Can I get one of those, please?
Yours is actually
No,
reading at
we're gonna send it to Jim
120%.
Thomas's place.
Yeah. And we'll really lose money.
But as I stated, it's important for you to know that everything we have built in this budget currently is reflected in the proposed tax rate as well. And so this is the final draft that we have for you, and we'll be bringing back next month for final approval.
What did you put in the system for salaries and?
On your budgeted breakout that we gave you, you can see that there's a 1% cost of living adjustment, and
What's the total?
Where-
page what?
14.
Page 14. Page 14. You can see on your breakout. That's it. On page 14, what you see is a cost of living increase for all staff and a budgeted 3% merit increase for individuals that are not capped in their salary range. And that is subject to a positive evaluation.
Well, you already did. You beat me to it. You see it?
I can see it now. I can see it here, but I have to struggle.
What's that?
Old age. I'm catching up. I'm having a little trouble with the font size on this page.
Our eyesight is going.
Glasses?
No, that's all right. We have good lighting here.
Okay, you said 14 is a breakout on
Page 14.
agenda?
Page 14, in the packet that you were provided, on page 14, it
I thought
shows
you
the
meant on
salary
the agenda. I
worksheet.
went to 14. I
This
didn't-
is the same day that you were provided last month.
Yep. I think I requested it too, didn't I?
1%
The
You've
breakout?
most of this information in this packet is what you requested.
Yeah. And what did you say the total was again?
If you'll look at the page, you can see per
You can't tell
department.
me, can you?
You've
I
got a
gotta read it.
1% cost of living
Over 6
adjustment
months.
for each employee, and you have a 3% budgeted for employees that are not maxed out in their range. So let's say a 1% COLA and 3% merit, for simplicity.
Bill
Some of these,
Bill didn't send in his CPI chat or anything like that?
What?
Bill didn't send in his CPI
We
presentation?
use the North Texas DFW area like we do every other year.
I was waiting for that because it's 2.7.
The numbers I saw, it was closer to 1%.
Yeah, it's actually a little bit higher, but
our base salaries.
Scroll down to the next
Oh,
page, you can see
I'm looking
that.
at it right there.
Well, if you'll scroll down to the next page, you can see the actual salary ranges that show you each position, the low, the entry level, mid-range, and high range. Maybe that will help clarify.
Alan, on page 5, which is the fire capital, review after true-up on the last 3 items on that top of the page.
Yes.
When do we have the true-up?
Typically, after their audit is complete, I'm going to say around the May timeframe.
It's a long time between.
Understood, but it's typically happen after they get completed with their audit.
their audit's completed by February.
And then
I know that, I think that it's typically around the April timeframe, March-April timeframe.
the
Does
range
Al-
numbers came from where?
The range numbers are from a compensation study that we have performed last year's. Those numbers are based off of last year's compensation study. We also emailed that data to you today as well.
Who did that study for us?
Let's see, it was Public Sector Consultants.
What was your question, Jim? I didn't hear you.
I think the ILA did say no later than May or something. For
Yeah.
the
I believe so.
True up. Okay, what's the other question? What have we communicated to the town as far as our fire rate, our just what's on these pages?
What you see is what has been communicated to them. The budgeted expense line items are the same as when I met with the town manager a few weeks ago. The only thing that has changed is the district 100% capital expense on page 4, where it says expenses district. That capital outlays line item is a little bit less because we had an adjustment in our overall tax rate.
Okay, and one more thing is, when we had our meeting in mid-June, they came up with all these capital items, from mattresses to radios. I knew at that time they also had a problem with their AC equipment. Can we communicate to the town that if there's something wrong with our firehouse, which is our building, that they should be communicating that at a more timely basis than waiting for the annual budget to be discussed?
Well, I can tell you this, they've been asking for the replacement of these 2 air conditioner units for a few years now, and it's been extracted from the budget because of overall cost savings. So we have been told, run to failure. Well, we're essentially at that run to failure. If you recall, down on the next page, you can see the fire station plumbing repair was one of the capital expenses they were asking for. That has since been fixed. They actually finished that up last week, and so that has been done, taken care of. We paid for that out of wastewater funds on the district side, so that's done off the books. We also talked to them about the fire station dumpster enclosure and to remove that from their requests moving forward. We have come up with a situation where when they have bulky large items, they have Opticom to work our gates, and they can go in and dump those large items in our dumpster. So that kind of eliminates that request. Also, the fire station HVAC replacement of 2 items. I had 4 separate quotes gathered, even using our own consultant, and right now it's in the queue. The permits have been pulled to get those 2 items replaced, and they've been given the go-ahead.
Okay.
So they will be replaced this fiscal year. That was part of the budget amendment we brought in last month.
Okay.
What did the plumbing come to? You said that was fixed yesterday, I think.
The plumbing, I think it was 24,000. They had to hand dig up underneath the whole, basically the site over here where the grease trap's at. They had to hand dig and burrow all the way up underneath to the kitchen sink.
Foundation?
Yes, sir. It was very timely.
That's what that big truck was out front here. The big red truck was like a vacuum.
You couldn't use a vac contractor?
So the vac truck was part of the overall scope. Once they get everything done, they come in and they clean that grease trap out. It's kind of like a final test. We've got everything, we run it, we get it all cleaned out. It's like starting fresh.
If it's plumbing, sewer, I don't think it's fresh. But, play on words. Do you know what the total amount was, though?
I don't know the number offhand. I'm going to say 24.9, 24.6. It was a little under 25.
On there to do it?
Say again?
What did they estimate?
I don't recall, Kevin. I'm sorry. All I know is we got it for less money, and we got it done and taken care of and completed, and it's now off of the fire fund request.
Okay, here's a question on an example is the mobile radios. They have 39,000. I think it was 4 radios they were saying.
I think it's more than 4 radios, but I did have a conversation with the chief, and these are old numbers, and I did ask him to make sure that before they purchase, they review their quotes and their requests. They are buy board numbers, but the last numbers I saw, they didn't look off to me.
And I know when they talked about it, and I said this to the, not an audit, but evaluation or whatever they say they're doing, recommendations, but I said, when you Google them online, brand new, same exact model numbers, they were a lot cheaper than they had.
And I understand, and from my understanding and buying specific radios when you're tying into a certain system, it's the inside guts and the programming that cost more.
So there's programming costs.
There's programming and internal
what they have
components to make sure that it works with the system that they're on. Let's just say Denton County or Roanoke or whatever the dispatch system is. So that's a lot of the expense that you don't realize.
Okay, so what if the radios come in at, say, 35 or 30?
Then there will be roughly $4,000 of
What do they do with that
surplus. Well, we talk about that at True Up
Okay.
between the town manager and
But
I.
we get invoices that we can put in our record for
We don't
files.
get invoices. This is budgeting. The town will take care of this and purchase it on their side as part of the split expenses.
They can purchase it, but how do we know the amount? I'm not saying they're gonna pull the wool over.
Part of the audit process, they go through there and they scrub the fund with their auditor, and then we go through the
I'm
final
not getting a
numbers.
warm fuzzy, but okay. Okay. Anyone have any other questions?
No.
You have any? So we're going to go up in taxes by like .002 something. Is that right?
Let me get back to that.
Go back to the agenda.
I think it's less than 3, isn't it?
.00564. Is that the number you're talking about?
Yeah, but what's the difference? What's the increase?
It's the increase of .00564. Go to the second page, Kevin,
Yeah.
on there, on the very bottom.
Yep.
On the bottom right, you can see the increase.
Okay. Anyone have any other questions? Okay, if someone wants to make a motion, well, we're going to approve this next meeting, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Never
That's what we
mind.
needed.
Thanks a lot, Alan. Okay, moving on. Guess we were on number 6. Considered an act regarding tax rates for 2025. A, approve proposed tax rate for 2025 tax year, and B, schedule date and authorize publication of notice for hearing regarding adoption of final tax rates for the year 2025.
And directors, I want to make sure that everybody's clear that when we set this date, there's no turning back. We need to make sure that the next scheduled meeting date happens on this date, because we will be publishing, we will be setting everything for that date. And so we need to make sure that that gets set in stone, please. But this does include the increases that we just talked about for the fire fund as discussed.
In that regard, I'm out of country from September 14th to September 21st.
You're going to Canada, you said, eh?
Going to Canada.
Eh? Eh? Okay.
Saying that if we can set a date where I could attend, that would be great.
Well, that's further on, so we'll set the next meeting, but we'll take into consideration.
Motion on this?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I move to adopt the proposed tax rate of 0.06814 per $100 of assessed valuation for the 2025 tax year, and to authorize staff to proceed with the publication of a notice of a public hearing regarding the adoption of final tax rates for 2025 tax year to be conducted on September 17th, 2025.
I'll second.
Okay, any further questions? I see none. All in favor, show of hands. Okay, unanimous, and Vice President Rose is absent. Okay, moving on to 7. Consider an act to approve appointments to Fort Worth Water Wholesale Customer Advisory Committee members.
Directors, what this is the annual renewal of appointments. Typically, it's Mike or myself attending these meetings, and this is just a formality that we need to get approved, please.
Well, I'll make the motion that we approve the appointment to Fort Worth Water Wholesale Advisory Committee for Mike McMahon.
Ed and Alan?
I don't, is it for Alan?
Yeah, he's,
Second?
Alternate.
And including Alan as the alternate.
okay. I have a motion, to have a second?
Yeah, I second it.
Okay, I have a motion by Director Toomey, a second by Director Thomas. Any further discussion? I see none. All in favor? Unanimous. Again, Vice President Rose absent. Okay. Next one is 7, I believe we're on. No, 8, excuse me. Didn't cross through it yet. Executive session. We have 2 items, and we will go into executive session on it to discuss it. It's pursuant to Section 551.001 of the Texas Open Meetings Act. The board will convene into executive session for the following purposes. A, pursuant to Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code, the board will convene into executive session to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. In this case, it's Alan. It's just to talk about a contract amendment, not termination, so don't get scared. Okay. B, pursuant to Section 551.076 of the Texas Government Code, to deliberate regarding the deployment of security devices on district-owned properties. It is 8:03, and we will go into executive session. It is 9:50, and we are back into regular session. And we will go to number 9, consider an act regarding items discussed in executive session. And the first one is A, and it's pursuant to Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code, the board convened into executive session to deliberate the appointment, employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer or employee. General manager, be specific. Do I have any motion on that one?
Yes. I'd like to move to approve the 2025 employment agreement for Alan Formaton, pending final approval by the legal, and authorize the president to execute the agreement.
Okay.
I'll second the motion.
A motion by Secretary Treasurer Harper, a second by Director Toomey. Is there any discussion? I see none. All in favor? Show of hands.
Aye.
Okay. Do we have anything else pertaining to A?
Yes, I move to approve the severance agreement for Alan Formaton, pending final approval by legal, and authorize the president to execute the agreement.
And I'll second that motion.
Okay, I have a motion by Secretary Treasurer Harper, a second by Director Toomey. Any further discussion? I see none. All in favor? Show of hands.
Aye.
Okay, and again, both were unanimous, and Vice President Rose was absent. Okay, next one is B, an executive session pursuant to Section 551.076 of the Texas Government Code to deliberate regarding the deployment of security devices on district-owned properties, and there was no action on this item. Is that correct?
Correct.
Moving into future agenda items. Jim, you mentioned something about future agenda? Or it was just a date that we need to meet? You have anything for future agenda?
Not at this moment.
Okay. How about now?
Well, I do, I am
See?
going to be talking to Gary Ash about where they're headed on their parks and stuff. And so I may have a report for you, but unless I talk to him and understand, I don't know.
You want to put it on the agenda?
Yeah, I'll tell you what, put it on because I can, yeah.
Okay, you're talking about council member Gary Ash, is that correct?
Yeah, just an update for the board on possibilities for our participation in Parks and Rec.
Is that okay, Lori? You understand that? Mm-hmm. Anything else? You have anything, Doug?
Yep.
Okay. Neil?
Nope.
You want us to put something on so you can talk about your new grandbaby, Pam, or
Oh, I would love it.
maybe in half an hour or something?
Yes, please.
Bring pictures.
Videos, pictures. Okay, so that's the only thing. Okay, our next, we're moving on to agenda 11, next regular meeting date, September 17th, 2025. I think you mentioned something about that
Yeah,
earlier.
could I make a request? Would the board consider moving that to September 24th? I will be back on the 21st. I'll leave on the 14th, and I get back on the 21st.
So you want to move it to the next week?
Yeah, I just want to move it back 1 week.
You want to move it to the 24th?
To the 24th, that's moving it back 1 week.
Moving,
Alan, what does that do with our?
If you do that, you'll have to go back to your previously proposed tax rate hearing and modify the
Yes,
date of that
you
as
will,
well.
if you do
So
that.
everything is hinging
Good.
now on that date. Plus, moving it forward a week actually,
Better.
it creates issues for us on the reporting and preparation side.
But the issue is, will they still meet their timeline moving it back?
I don't think so, not later.
Yeah, I don't think so either.
No, because
I
there's
don't
a
think so.
filing time, you have to have it published for, I can't remember, I can go into that.
But if we
I don't
do-
believe so, we can't move it any later.
Yeah.
We would have to go back to item 6 and amend that motion. Correct, Pam?
Correct.
So we just amended to the
I'm
20.
concerned about your timeline.
I think we have the problem with the tax.
Listen, you can always just leave it on the 17th, and I just can't make it.
Yeah,
I
since they've already,
think I'd rather do that because I don't want to get it into something we accidentally mess up on the tax.
So right now, we'll just stay with what we have, the 17th. Is that okay with you, Pam?
Yes, well, that's the one I'll be remote, but I will be here remotely.
And you'll be holding the baby, right?
Maybe.
Okay. Okay, so next meeting's going to be September 17th, 2025. Jim has already announced that he will be absent and Pam will be remote. So make sure she gets a link.
Yeah, we've already talked about.
Okay, that's, got all that done and we will adjourn. It is 9:55, we'll call it.